The Sister Wives women continue to email Kody Brown about becoming his future wife. He says women are still reaching out despite Kody Brown's long-standing disengagement from plural marriage. The TLC personality told his lone surviving wife, Robin Brown, on the Sunday, November 2nd Sister Wives show that he continues to get letters from women who want to become part of his family. Kody, 56, informed Robin, 47, "I received another one of those emails from some woman talking about plural marriage." Before implying that she wished to get to know us for the purpose of joining the family, he clarified that the sender was kind of chastising me for deciding to quit plural marriage. Robin acknowledged for a moment that the thought caused her to hesitate. "Oh, this would be fantastic," I thought for a moment. "I've always wanted this for my life," she declared during a confessional. She went on, "I think it's completely inappropriate that they would send it to Kody. Making advances on a man is often considered improper. You must speak with the sister wives." Even though the pair took a united front, Robin admitted that her husband was attractive to others. "It is appealing to a young woman to see a married, stable man," she stated. "He's worked out some of his nonsense. He knows how to be a father, and he has a happy wife. I apologize, but that is going to make any girl's head turn." Kody, however, maintains that stage of his life is over. Numerous emails have been sent to him asking, "Hey, listen, why don't you reconsider plural marriage?" he stated. "As if a woman would like to wed me and become Robin's sister's spouse. Who doesn't enjoy a little recognition? However, it's also like, that's crazy and I don't want to indulge." The 18-year-old father acknowledged that, although he earlier thought it was possible to balance love between several wives, he now acknowledges that it just wasn't gonna work. Over the past few years, Kody's multiple families have seen significant transformation. Robin is his only surviving spouse after his 3 former wives, Meri, Janelle, and Christine, all left the marriage. After 25 years together, Christine announced her separation from Kody in November 2021, making her the first to leave. She now resides in Utah and is remarried to contractor David Woolley. In 2022, Janelle followed, formally announcing her and Kody's separation after over 30 years. Before Kody divorced her in 2014 to wed Robin, Meri was his first and only lawful wife. In early 2023, Meri disclosed that their relationship had likewise terminated permanently. However, during a recent TV appearance, Kody Brown started crying. The Sister Wives star was frequently questioned about his paternal role. This occurred on Special Forces' World's Toughest Test, a Fox competition show. The poignant event made Brown face his previous transgressions. Due to his multiple marriages, he has 18 offspring. He usually takes a defensive stance on his own TLC show, but this public reckoning is different. Rudy Reyes, a former U.S. Marine, led the challenging discussion. He questioned Brown about whether he was adequately caring for his kids. Brown found the question difficult at first. Brown answered, "I don't want to admit I'm wrong sometimes." He said that he detests being incorrect. This prepared the ground for a more intense conflict. Brown was directly challenged by former SAS operator Mark "Billy" Billingham. He claimed that Brown exclusively looked out for his like-minded relatives. According to Billingham, Brown wasn't being truthful. Brown's defenses were breached by the strain. "I am the disparity," Brown acknowledged at last. He admitted that he ought to have developed closer bonds with his kids. Brown broke down in tears as he described his shortcomings. He stated that he is now prepared to acknowledge his error. He said that his inability to be a decent father was the cause of his shortcomings. He apologized for his unwillingness to take criticism. He claimed that he was unable to learn because of his pride. He resisted taking responsibility because he detested being held accountable. Real change was pushed for by the directing staff. Billingham underlined that action follows genuine ownership. He encouraged Brown to persevere and dig deep. Later, Brown expressed his wish to mend all family ties. His connections with his ex-wives are part of this. He recognized the challenge of this endeavor. But for the first time in years, the Brown family sensed a glimmer of hope on a sunny spring morning in Flagstaff, Arizona. Once more, TLC producers were filming what they were referring to as a new chapter for the Brown family. Kody Brown stood outside his new family home, a comfortable, contemporary ranch-style home encircled by pine trees, rather than the spacious shared house he had always imagined, following years of heartache, separations, and emotional isolation. His face had the signs of age, but also the earliest signs of humility, and his hair was now shorter. Janelle was inside, humming quietly as she unpacked boxes in the kitchen. Although she made it apparent that she was doing it for her story, not Kody's, she had consented to film once more. Bright and bursting with laughter, Christine was spending time with David Woolley, her new husband. She wanted to maintain harmony and demonstrate that healing was possible, despite having left the poly marriage. Meri had also unexpectedly returned, but this time to mend old wounds rather than reignite romance. She was now prepared to talk about how she rebuilt her life after opening a new inn in Utah. Hers was a tale of self-reliance and silent power. The tension was heavy but brittle, like glass that could break or dazzle, as the family gathered for their first communal dinner in more than 3 years. Kody inhaled deeply before continuing. He looked across the table and stated quietly, "I know I've made mistakes, but perhaps this might be a fresh start. We were destined to be a family, not just husband and wife." There was a brief silence in the room. To everyone's surprise, Janelle then gave a nod. "Kody, we're not flawless, but we can start over as friends," she remarked. "For the children, and perhaps for ourselves as well." With her hand on David's, Christine grinned. Forgiveness does not imply repentance. It entails letting go of anger and moving on. And we all deserve that, in my opinion. Every awkward giggle, every lengthy stare, and every tear were captured on camera by TLC. Later viewers of the episode were astounded to witness actual emotion, not the mayhem of the past, but the careful reconstruction of something authentic. The Browns started working on a new project together in the weeks that followed, a community outreach initiative for families dealing with complicated relationships. Christine came up with the concept, and Meri and the other women agreed. Kody ultimately turned that long-dreamed plot into something significant when he offered to build a small center on his Coyote Pass property. The world no longer knew the Browns as a shattered family by the end of the season. They were no longer married, but they were reunited with a new purpose. A montage at the end of the presentation saw them laughing together at a BBQ in the backyard, with the sun sinking behind the Arizona hills and the grandchildren running around. "Sometimes the end of one story is just the beginning of another," said a narrator as the program came to a close. For the Brown family, living with open hearts is more important for the future than sharing a single residence. Fans realized that they had just seen something uncommon in reality TV when the screen went black. A genuine new chapter for the Brown family. But Meri Brown finally began a new chapter in her life after years of hardship, heartache, and attempting to make her multiple marriages work. With a gentle daybreak above Parowan, Utah, Sister Wives Season 19, Episode 13 began with Meri strolling outside Lizzie's Heritage Inn, her bed and breakfast, while carrying a hot cup of coffee. Her serene expression was captured on camera, but it was still looking for more. Since formally divorcing Kody Brown, Meri had focused her efforts on re-establishing her mental and spiritual stability. She disclosed in this episode that she had begun holding retreats for women's empowerment at her inn, inviting ladies from all across the nation who had experienced betrayal, divorce, or loss. In an emotional confessional, Meri stated, "I thought my story ended when my marriage did, but now I realize that's when it really began." Her tone was one of defiance and hope as she grinned. Fans hadn't witnessed her strength like that in years. Meri's new routine was straightforward but satisfying. She frequently took long trips into the Utah hills, rose up early, and pondered in the garden she had planted herself. She stopped into a neighborhood diner where the employees knew her by name in a heartwarming experience. Fans went by to tell her how much she inspired them, and she smiled, talked, and even took photographs with them. But things weren't always easy. There were difficulties in operating a firm alone. In one touching scenario, Meri was having financial difficulties after a storm damaged a portion of the inn's roof. She called a contractor herself and took care of it rather than asking Kody for assistance, as she might have done in the past. With determination in her eyes, she stood amidst the building debris and muttered, "I can do this." Their first in-person encounter since the family's tension reached a breaking point occurred when Janelle went to see Meri in Parowan halfway through the episode. On the porch, the two sipped tea and candidly discussed letting go of Kody and reevaluating themselves. Janelle said, "I think we both gave so much that we forgot who we were." "Now we're finding out we were enough all along," Meri said with a nod. It was a raw, emotional, and unexpectedly hopeful scene. As they watched, they could sense years of suffering gradually turning into respect and friendship. Later in the show, TLC cameras accompanied Meri as she debuted Resilient Hearts, her first motivational podcast. "To everyone out there who has been told they are not enough, you are," she said, addressing the audience directly. "You were always. All you had to do was believe it." Support from viewers who said her words moved them to tears erupted in the comment section. In a little video, Christine even commended Meri's bravery. According to Christine, each of us had to heal in our own way. "And I'm proud of Meri for doing it with such grace." There was a calm moment towards the end of the show. As snow started to fall outside, Meri sat by herself by her inn's fireplace, smiling softly. "Today, I didn't need anyone to tell me I was loved," she wrote in her journal. "I sensed it, inwardly." Meri closed her journal and extinguished the candle next to her as the last image went out, signifying the close of one chapter and the hopeful start of a new one. The theme of this made-up Sister Wives episode, Meri adjusts to her new lifestyle, was recovery, development, and taking back one's freedom. Meri finally discovered comfort in solitude after decades of feeling marginalized, not as a wife in a plural family, but as a woman who rediscovers her own love. This wasn't the Meri of the first few seasons, and fans knew it. This was Meri 2.0, self-assured, self-sufficient, and radiant with a renewed sense of purpose. But Flagstaff, Arizona had a calm spring morning. Tension pervaded the air as the Brown family assembled for what was meant to be a straightforward family breakfast. While Kody strolled close to the window with his arms crossed and a hard, unreadable expression, Christine sat at the end of the long oak table, her coffee yet unfinished. Their marriage had been troubled for years, with emotional distance, unsaid annoyances, and the ongoing juggling of multiple relationships. Today, however, felt different. Christine stared at him with a sense of finality, as if she had already come to terms with a long-overdue choice. With a somber voice, Kody said, "Christine, it seems like you're not even trying anymore. You've left." Christine inhaled deeply while speaking in a forceful yet composed tone. "I tried, Kody. I tried to make this work for years. I waited, I wept, and I prayed. I cannot, however, be the only one battling for a lost love." There was silence in the room. Even Meri and Janelle, who had been watching in silence, looked at one another worriedly. Christine gently shook her head when Robin reached out to console her. Christine whispered, "Robin, you don't understand. Now you have his heart, and it's okay. However, I also deserve to have someone's entire heart." Kody tightened his jaw. "You sound like you're about to leave," he replied, raising his voice a little. Christine gave him a steady glance. "Kody, I'm not speaking as though I'm going. I'm heading out." The room echoed with the shock. Robin's eyes began to well up with tears, and Janelle gave a small gasp. Christine, however, had a calm expression. She appeared liberated for the first time in years. Christine quietly packed her belongings later that day. As the sound of the wind rustling the house reverberated like a whisper of change, her daughters assisted her in folding clothes into boxes. Kody stood outside with his fists on his hips, appearing torn and irate, but he knew in his heart that there was no going back this time. Christine took one last look back as she packed the last box into her car. "Kody, you once told me that love should last forever," she continued in a firm yet tearful voice. "I still think so. However, I've come to understand that self-love is the first step towards enduring love." With the Arizona sunset burning like fire behind her, signifying both a new dawn and an end, she got into her car and drove off. Christine made a fresh start in Utah a few weeks later. After finding a comfortable house with a garden, she resumed cooking and even started dating David, a patient and kind man who made her laugh in ways she hadn't in years. Kody, meantime, battled the disintegration of his formerly proud multiple family. Even his relationship with Janelle and Meri was deteriorating, and he was losing control. During her confessional at the Sister Wives season finale, Christine grinned into the camera and said, "Leaving wasn't easy, but it was necessary. It feels wonderful to be living for myself at last." Kody appeared to have lost everything he believed he had control of as the episode came to a close, sitting by himself in his big, half-empty house with his reflection in the window. In addition to ending a marriage, Christine's startling choice had sparked a revolution in her life. She wasn't simply abandoning Kody. Peace, freedom, and pleasure were her choices. Greetings and welcome to my channel, dear viewers. I'm Sabrina. I hope you're having a great day. Remember to subscribe to the channel if you enjoy the video.